Gdy myślimy o Heroes of Might and Magic, pierwsze co pojawia nam się w głowie to nie pole bitwy, jednostki, a serce całej gry, czyli muzyka. Dzieła duetu Romero i Kinga uznajemy dzisiaj już praktycznie za legendarne, ale część z fanów nie wie, że powstawały bez orkiestry, budżetu znanego dzisiaj w branży, czy przez 15 lat bez słowa od słuchaczy. Przedstawiamy Wam historię o tym, jak coś nagranego w łazience trafiło do filharmonii, o ludziach komponujących muzykę do Herosków do dziś. To z pewnością będzie jeden z dłuższych materiałów od nas. Dlatego rozsiądźcie się wygodnie i posłuchajcie naszej rozmowy z mistrzami. Zacząć warto od tego, czego nie było. Nie było orkiestry, nie było wybujałego budżetu. Było natomiast mieszkanie Roba Kinga, klawiatura o 36 klawiszach i łazienka, która, jak się okazało, miała akustykę opery. About the music, you said you had low budget, when you were creating the pieces.
Yeah, I had no budget. Like the budget was, they were just paying me to in fact, all of the scores, Heroes 1 through 7, all the orchestrations were done on these. This is the orchestra. Occasionally, I would get a friend to be like a saxophone, some opera. I had about 5 opera singer friends. I had 2 choirs that I was friends with, and also a cellist. One of my friends was a great cellist. She played a few tunes in Heroes 2 and Heroes 7. I had a flutist. So I only had really a handful, less than 10 soloists. In the history of the game, there are live musicians on those soundtracks. The rest of it, it's all sampled sounds. So any of the sounds that you hear, I had to play it. Whether it was my fingers on the drums or the piccolos or the choir parts or the French horn. So none of the games we had a live orchestra.
I heard a rumor that with you had to record in a bathroom for the acoustics?
Yes. We did on Heroes 2, since we were going to start using opera singers, we thought, they're going to sound better in a room that has the acoustics that kind of would be like an opera house. So you know how everybody sounds good in the bathroom or in the shower when they're singing? This has the reverberation of the tile. So that's how we recorded them. In the bathroom. That's not an easy thing. Because you give them the music and then close the door and you go 1, 2, 3, go. This particular bathroom was in Rob King's apartment. So there were very noisy neighbors who would run in. So we did the best that we could with what we had.
Jakim doświadczeniem była praca nad serią Heroes of Might and Magic?
Bardzo sobie cenię te wspomnienia. Myślę, że byłem chyba 29. pracownikiem w New World Computing, jak zaczynałem. Zespół był mały i bardzo zżyty, domowy, kiedy do niego dołączyłem. Mieliśmy mnóstwo zabawy w biurze. Tak naprawdę nie mam nic prócz świetnych wspomnień, jeśli chodzi o pracę nad Heroes of Might and Magic. Miałem szczęście, że dano mi przy niej tyle twórczej wolności. John Van Canegan i Mark Caldwell byli najlepszymi szefami, jakich ktoś mógłby kiedykolwiek mieć. Rzadko się sprzeciwiali i pozwalali mi robić swoje. Trzeba im oddać, że dostarczyli mi świetne koncepty i materiały do pracy. Panowała tam bardzo twórcza atmosfera sprzyjająca współpracy.
Rob's keyboard was about this big. It should be like this big, but we had, I think there was like 36 keys or 44. So I was doing all the original music just using very minimal notes, even on the keyboard. So when I had to get the notes that were really, really low, I'd have to flip a switch on this little keyboard so that it sounded much lower or it sounded much higher. So it was little details like that. If the music is good, even if the production is limited, it's still going to sound good. It's still going to sound good to people. So I think that's what we had limited technology and limited budget to hire a real orchestra. So we did the best we could with what we had at that time.
Który motyw muzyczny wymagał najwięcej pracy od strony technicznej?
Zdecydowanie wszystkie motywy muzyczne dotyczące miast wymagały najwięcej pracy. Były to rozbudowane aranżacje orkiestrowe z ogromną liczbą ścieżek, a nad każdą z nich spędzaliśmy całe tygodnie. Heroes of Might and Magic 2 prawdopodobnie zajął najwięcej czasu, bo musieliśmy nie tylko zrobić aranżacje, ale też dodać śpiewaków operowych i muzyków na żywo. Aranżacje musiały być praktycznie skończone i nagrane, zanim zaprosiliśmy muzyków. Nie mieliśmy budżetu na nagrywanie orkiestry, więc wszystko było programowane w moim studiu, na zestawie samplerów i urządzeń MIDI.
When music is good, it's not really about the production. I mean, it is about it has to have a clean sound so that people can hear it, but it really needs to be about the music. The music has to resonate with you. You could put a full orchestra, or you can just play it on that little keyboard. It sounds great because the music is good.
Skoro wiemy teraz, czym nagrywano, to warto zadać sobie pytanie, jak się komponuje. Romero ma na to pewną bardzo trafną analogię. Kuchnię. Wydawca miał natomiast alergię na pewien składnik.
First couple games, it was we need you to find a sound that sounds like it's going to be appropriate for castles, something that's very long time ago. But by the time 3 came around, it was just like, if you could just make the music sound good, it doesn't even matter what language you use. And what I mean by language is a certain era of music. So the first game, we used primarily Baroque instruments, or instruments that would have been appropriate for the 16th and 17th centuries. And then by Heroes 3, I was using musical languages that would have been even developed in the 20th century. This is classical music, 20th century classical music like Richard Strauss, Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky. The era and the musical language expanded by the time we did Heroes 3, which was for me great as a composer because I could try different styles of music and different textures. And it's almost like I always use the analogy of a chef, but it's like I'm a cook, and then you've allowed me, or the company allowed me, to add different flavors to the menu. Korean style, Russian style, Mexican style, Alaskan style, Norwegian, and put those flavors into the pot. The era of Heroes 3 was a good experience for me. They busted out all the restrictions, except for saxophone. They told me no saxophone.
Can you tell me how your creative process looks like while you are creating a music for Heroes?
Usually I'll have a meeting with my producer. So this is what they need. Like, okay, so for instance, Heroes 5, we had meetings. We gotta do Heroes 5. What are we gonna do? Because we never wanted to duplicate the musical language from the previous game. I think as creative people, I don't really want to duplicate more. If I can, I want to expand my own personal horizon. What could we do this different? So we think, okay, so Rob and my producer he's a rock and roll musician. He knows music, but his forte is rock and roll and pop. So in my world is classical. So okay, we'll talk about the feeling. What's the kind of vibe we want to do this? So I'll suggest maybe something like the planets called Orf, or maybe we should look at something, whatever random thing. But maybe the opera Carmen. There's a lot of choruses in Bizet's Carmen. All these little things. We'll just come around to ideas. So we'll play through them. We'll put the music up and listen. Like a little bit of this, maybe something that has a feeling of John Williams from E.T. or something from Alexander Nevsky by Prokofiev, one of his movies. So we'll begin to take like random ideas, like a pinup board, and then it gives me kind of an idea of the scope of the musical languages that I should be pulling from. So once that happens, then I have to start going home and improvising in all these different styles from these different composers that we liked. You know, the flavor of all these things, and because I'm the one who has to learn how to do it. So I need to learn. Okay, we like something like John Williams. How do we sound like John Williams? So I got to learn his music. I have to be able to play the music and find the recipe. Same thing for whoever we chose. So that's a process. Learning the flavors of the sounds that we have decided would be good. You can't just start doing it. I can't just, if somebody told me just start painting in Degas style, you probably would need a moment to look at his paintings and look at the brush strokes and color palette and subject matter and all that stuff. So it's kind of the same thing for me. I got to study. So once I kind of getting fluent in these languages that we've chosen, that takes about a month. That just means me at the piano improvising. I gotta just play for hours and hours a day, try different modes. And then once I have the mode, then I start coming up with the melodies. So then I come up with a melody, I'll record it, I'll go to the studio, I'll say, okay, let me show you a little bit of this melody with some very rough orchestrations. I can do it here on this here, or even on here, right here. I have two setups here. So I could do this, show the producer, say, okay, you kind of like the flavor of this. It's like, yeah, let's go with that. This sounds really good. So I'll spend another 2 weeks recording that music, finishing the melody, and start orchestrating. And then we send it to the company, and they say yes or no. And they usually like it because what I do now is I send the music half finished so they can get an idea of where it's going. Because I've learned if you send them a 5-minute piece of music and they're like, this is all wrong, this is not what we're looking for you. I've just spent like 3 weeks doing something. So it's an art of collaboration. Let me show you, I think this might be good. Let me show you a sample of it and you tell me what you think. So it's a give and take process throughout the whole thing. So that's kind of how we do it.
Jak wyglądała wasza współpraca z Paulem Anthony Romero?
Zazwyczaj wyglądało to tak, że dostawaliśmy roboczą grafikę w kwestii motywów miast i dyskutowaliśmy z Paulem, w jakim kierunku pójść. Przesłuchiwałem różne partytury i przynosiłem je do studia. Przy każdym utworze bywało inaczej. Paul był od przynoszenia pomysłów, ja sprawiałem, że pomysły grały z melodiami i dopiero wtedy zaczynaliśmy pracę. Paul jako znakomity pianista grał większość części, a do mnie należał aspekt techniczny. Programowanie perkusji, edycja czy aranżacja MIDI. Potrafiliśmy wspólnie spędzić najlepszą część dnia między 10 rano a 5 po południu. A potem, zanim się zorientowałem, spędzałem całą noc na edycji. Spędzaliśmy niezliczoną ilość czasu nad tymi utworami. Jako, że głównie wywodzę się z pisania piosenek, to zawsze starałem się, by były one jak najlepiej zrobione. Nieważne, czy miały trafić do gry, czy gdzie indziej. One mają się same bronić. Na szczęście czas i fani byli i nadal są dla tych utworów łaskawi. Nawet po 30 latach.
Każdy utwór, jaki tworzę do Day of Reckoning, zaczyna się mniej więcej tak samo. Mianowicie staram się ułożyć w głowie, jak coś może brzmieć, jak coś będzie pasowało, jakieś melodie, jakieś akordy, jakaś harmonia będą pasowały do tego, do czego chcę zrobić muzykę, do czego mam zadanie, żeby zrobić muzykę. I kiedy już to sobie ustalę, kiedy czuję, że mam w głowie jakiś konkretny plan na muzykę, wtedy zasiadam do spisywania tych pomysłów. Trochę metodą prób i błędów, jeżeli okaże się, że w mojej głowie też brzmiało lepiej. Bardzo często mi się zdarzało, że wydawało mi się, że jakaś progresja akordów będzie brzmiała lepiej niż faktycznie brzmiała i musiałam na ostatnią chwilę ogarniać inną opcję. Ale kiedy to już jakoś się uda mi przezwyciężyć, kiedy w końcu udaje mi się coś skomponować, w formie choćby i szkicu na fortepian, nie pełnej kompozycji ze wszystkimi instrumentami, tylko czegoś, co będzie wiadomo, jak to mniej więcej miałoby brzmieć, pokazuje to, w jakim klimacie będzie ten utwór, ale nie jest jeszcze skończonym utworem, to wtedy przekazuje swoją pracę tym, którzy mi ją zlecili, czy to reszcie zespołu Day of Reckoning, czy w przypadku innych projektów, jeżeli takowe są, innym zleceniodawcom, jeśli można tak nazwać zespół zleceniodawcami. Wtedy, jeżeli już to zostanie zaakceptowane, albo zostaną wprowadzone jakieś drobne poprawki, to wtedy zabieram się za aranżację. I to już jest zupełnie sposób przygotowywania tego w formie takiej, żeby sprawdzać, co będzie siadało, a co niekoniecznie będzie pasowało do danego tematu, który ten motyw ma opisywać, przedstawiać, prezentować.
Utwory znane nam po dziś dzień skrywają pewne sekrety. Niektóre inspirują się legendami muzyki klasycznej, takimi jak Bach czy Rachmaninow. Ale czy wiedzieliście, że motyw twierdzy zawdzięczamy Carlosowi Santanie i melodramatowi o pigułkach z 1967 roku? Nie? Romero też nie wiedział, dopóki nie skończył go pisać.
So when I was a little kid, my brother listened to Carlos Santana. So I listened to this recording, Black Magic, over and over and over and over and over again. It's one of the great albums of Santana. And there's a song called Como Osava. Como Osava. But the chord, I love that chord in that song. And that chord always stuck with me. So I wasn't like I wanted, but I love that chord so much. That's the opening of Stronghold. It's the Carlos Santana chords. I love just how those chords sound. So Stronghold is as a result of my love of that. So because I'm using the same chords. But in the middle part, the climax of Stronghold, when I was a kid, there was a movie called Valley of the Dolls. Valley of the Dolls is a very tragic movie from the 60s about men and women who want to be famous, and they come to Hollywood and they become drug addicts, and they are addicted to dolls mean pills. So the Valley of the Dolls means the Valley of the pills, the Quaaludes, all this stuff. So I remember watching this movie when I was a kid on television, and I was so fascinated by all this tragedy. All these people falling in love, and then they're dying because they have drug addictions, or there's scenes of people losing their minds on a movie set. And I was just very enamored with the drama of this movie. But in the movie, the most beautiful song, it's the theme from the Valley of the Dolls. And that music was a big hit on the radio. So I was hearing it on the radio all the time, and I would sing along with the song. Even I was about 5 years old, because the song, I think the movie came out in like 1967, 68. I was born in 1965, but I remember knowing this melody by the time I was 5 years old. So the climax of Stronghold is the climax of the theme of the Valley of the Dolls. So I kind of took influences of two pieces of music that I listened to a lot as a kid, and it turned into Stronghold. I wasn't trying to turn it into Stronghold. I didn't even know that's what it was until after I finished the Stronghold. It just came very naturally. I had the music was already in my fingers, and then I listened to it and I go, oh my God, this is totally Carlos Santana and the Valley of the Dolls melody. So if you ever listen to those two songs, I think you'll hear the direct influence. In terms of Rachmaninoff, Heroes 3, the Tower theme. I love the Tower theme. Awesome. I don't know how it is in the game, but one of my favorite pieces is the Symphonic Dances by Rachmaninoff, the second movement. Second movement is like it's a waltz, and I wanted to capture this feeling that I get every time I hear it, And I did. When I hear the Tower theme, I get a little bit of the feeling of the love that I have for Rachmaninoff. It's like, wow, I was able to capture a little bit of the magic that he has in that piece. So I don't know. I guess it would be like if you were an actor or an actress and you did a part in a movie and you were able to capture an essence that you love in another actress, and you saw that you were able to do it. So when I get these little moments where I was able to capture a feeling of a certain idol of mine, I feel very proud, and I love that. Barbarian theme from Heroes 1, because I love Bach, I love Vivaldi, and I feel like at the Barbarian tune I was able to capture my love of this particular Baroque music. So I connect to that piece because I achieved my goal as a composer. It's not for emotional reasons or personal. It's more as confirming my ability as a composer that I was able to get that little bit of the recipe.
Możesz przybliżyć historię motywu nekropolii i licencji związanej z Oscarami?
Nie jestem w stanie sobie tego dobrze przypomnieć, ale wydaje mi się, że chodziło o Oscary z 2006 roku. Dostałem telefon od Iwana Greenspana, odpowiedzialnego za licencję muzyczną na Academy Awards. Chyba po dziś dzień pełni tę rolę. Bardzo fajny człowiek. Na początku w ogóle udał się do danego Elfmana, bo myślał, że to była jego robota i kawałek był z jego starych partytur. Oczywiście Dany zaprzeczył i dał znać, że nie napisał tego utworu. Evan mówił, że zajęło mu parę tygodni znalezienie nas, a ja nawet nie wiem, jak ta muzyka wpadła w jego ręce. Kojarzę jedynie, że montażysta pracujący nad materiałem Evil Faces of Cinema natknął się na nią i wykorzystał ją jako muzykę tymczasową podczas składania tego klipu. Okazało się, że ekipa produkcyjna tak polubiła kawałek, że nie chciała go zmieniać. Evan zadzwonił do mnie i zgodziliśmy się pozwolić mu wykorzystać utwór na transmisji gali rozdania Oscarów. Był też na tyle miły, że zaprosił nas na próby oscarowe dzień przed wydarzeniem. To było naprawdę fajne uczucie, przebywanie w jednym pomieszczeniu z tymi wszystkimi gwiazdami. Wszyscy się śmiali i przygotowywali się do gali. Frajdą było patrzeć, jak ten segment leci w transmisji rozdania Oscarów.
In Heroes 3, I see some Baroque fantasy themes. Can you elaborate more about that? Because I see you like Baroque.
Oh, probably like an evil theme. Dun, 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 da, 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 da. Yeah, so there's a Bach prelude in C minor that it's a very violent prelude, but I wanted to capture that feeling in the evil theme. So I just follow the format of Bach. That one's very connective.
Which song did feel the most fun to compose for Heroes?
The main theme. The main theme but I did the main theme for Heroes 2. And then they dragged it over, we extended it, and then it became the main theme for Heroes 3. So it was just it's happy and it's sad at the same time. So the chords go from major to minor rapidly, and I kind of like that feeling. The reason why I know that is because I never get tired of playing it. So sometimes if something is too simple or too complex, if it's too complex, that it makes you have anxiety to play something that's complex, because you have to really, really focus. If something's too simple, then you can't really put your emotions into it if you're playing it live. So with Heroes main theme 3, it's fun to play. I can change the emotions of how I play it. If I play it a little bit slower, it sounds very melancholic. If I want to energize it, I just play it faster. It sounds very adventurous, like you're ready to do something. I would say for me, that's the most fun one, especially on Heroes 2 and 4, because there was so much opera, so much choir. I had to learn all these languages. So in terms of the soundtracks, Heroes, I've done lyrics in Farsi, Gaulish, Old French, Nahua, which is, I'm Mexican. Nahua
Wow.
is the ancient language of the Mayans and the Aztecs. Latin, German, so what else did I do? I did a little bit of Armenian. There's a little bit of Armenian. So there's several languages that have been part of Heroes opera, anything vocal. So yeah, I spent a lot because I had to learn the languages. I had to hire linguists, work with the choirs, teach all the singers the pronunciation. So I think at that time I wanted to know if the company liked all that work because there was a lot of effort put into that.
Jak już rozmawiamy o sekretach, to jest jedna frakcja, o której marzy wielu fanów. W tym też my. Nie bez powodu. Zrobiliśmy materiał o kuźni. Problem w tym, że Romero nie miał pojęcia, o jaką frakcję chodzi. About a magic and a creative process, I got one question from our community about the Forge. Back in 1999, when the Forge was supposed to be created, did you already have any musical ideas or a general concept in mind?
No, I didn't. I think there was one tune I had to do. Nobody told me. I'm not on that part of the process. I don't know what happened with the Forge, and no, I never do music ahead of time. It's just whenever they need it. I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately.
Okay, no problem.
So what is the Forge? I mean, what was it, a game that was supposed to come out? Is it an extension? Or what?
It was a town which is supposed to be in the Heroes, but finally it didn't
Heroes,
make to the final cut.
Which game?
Heroes of Might and Magic 3.
Oh, 3. Nobody's ever explained this to me before, so it's very, people ask me all the time, and I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I see. It's like having a scene from a movie that got cut, and now people want to know where is that. We want to, even if it's bad, I'm sure you want to see what it was. Huh. Okay, that's good. I didn't know that.
By the way, about cutting, did you prepare anything at the time that never made into the final game?
Not in relation to Heroes. There was something that I had to write. They didn't like a melody for what they were telling me to do it for, and most of the time they would find another place for the music, and so they would put it somewhere else in the game. So let's say they wanted me to do music. I don't know. Didn't happen, but okay, do a tower thing. So I did something that we don't like that. So they would use it somewhere else, and then I would do a new song. But I don't really work that way anymore. That's why I try to start the tune, and they can kind of hear if it's going to be appropriate or not. But I never lost any music in the Heroes franchises. No, what happens is just we'll find another place for it. That happens a lot on Heroes 3. To the point where I remember at one point they were saying just keep on writing the music. We're gonna find the right place for it. So it was we just need 4 more songs that are like 2.5 minutes long. It's like, okay, so then I just come up with the music, record it, and then they would find a place for it.
Z Paulem Romero miałem jedynie taki kontakt, że kiedy jeszcze nie było projektu Day of Reckoning i tworzyłam muzykę dla Mod Design Team, zespołu, który zajmował się tworzeniem modów pod platformę VCMI, to wtedy komponowałam muzykę do ichniego projektu Forge. Nie było to wierne odzorowanie tego miasta, ale miało ogólnie oddać klimat tego, co New World Computing chciało zrobić z miastem Forge. I kiedy stworzyliśmy to miasto Forge, ja skomponowałam muzykę i wrzuciłam ją na SoundClouda. I tak się złożyło, że pierwszym komentarzem, jaki dostałam po tym utworem, był komentarz autorstwa Paula Romero, który mnie bardzo pochwalił. Forge od Day of Reckoning będzie miał muzykę od Paula Romero, bo powstała ona zanim dołączyłam do zespołu Day of Reckoning.
Zaskakujące i trudne do uwierzenia jest to, że człowiek, którego melodie nuciły miliony graczy, przez 15 lat Nie usłyszał od nikogo ani słowa. Nie poznał nawet twórców gry. Z czasem jednak usłyszał te głosy od was.
There was not a lot of interaction. In fact, I never met. I worked for Rob King. So Rob King was the audio producer. I was hired by him. I never met John Van Cannigan, who created Heroes of Might and Magic, until 15 years later. I should have never met anybody. I never went to. I don't even know where they were making the game. I was in the studio, or the apartment where the studio was, where the bathroom was, where the singers would sing. To this day, I still don't know where New World Computing was. I think Rob King didn't want me to deal with anybody. He just said, you just do the music, and I'll deal with everybody else. I go, yeah, but isn't there a work party or something? So I never met anybody on any of the developers, the artists. And finally, 15 years later, I finally met John Van Cannigan. So I don't really know why that was. I remember asking Rob, does anybody want to meet me? Like, aren't they curious, like, who's writing the music? I never even asked him why. I should probably one day is ask Rob, why didn't I meet anybody of the company? I think he just felt it was easier for me to deal with him as a producer. I think he said one time, it's too many people, too many hands in the pot, and so you'll get confused. So I think back then it was probably what Rob King was protecting me from, to have too many people giving me too many ideas. Honestly, didn't have any clue that anybody liked the music. I just thought I was getting paid for it, and then I would have my life, do my concerts, and at the time, concurrently with doing, especially starting with Heroes 2 and 3, my career as a concert pianist was starting to go higher. So I was spending a lot of time traveling around the world, preparing Chopin, Beethoven. I was practicing a lot. I was performing a lot, and I would come home back to LA and go back to the studio and compose. So I had a lot of distractions, and I wasn't really thinking about, I wonder if anybody likes my music. I was kind of busy. Actually, the first incident was when I was doing some concerts in France, and somebody would come backstage, and they say, "Oh, Mr. Romero, that was a great concert. Are you the same Paul Romero that is part of Heroes of Might and Magic?" And I go, "Yes." I go, "How did you know that?" He goes, "Well, when I had the game, all the names, your name is listed as a composer." Like, "So are you the composer?" So yeah, I'm a composer. Like, huh? He goes, "Okay, I didn't think that you would be the same person. That's the same person playing the piano for these concerts." So I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting." I go, "Why not?" He goes, "Well, because when I saw your concert, you didn't look old." So they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow." They go, "You didn't look old." Well, what does that mean? It's like, well, the music sounds like it's music it would be a very old person, because it sounds like very old music. It's like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. I could see why there would be a disconnect. And then I would get letters from Hungary, and then people would, "Oh, you're the composer. I reposted the music from the game." People were able to take the music off of the game and upload it onto YouTube, and they would put my name. So little by little, I was getting feedback on YouTube, and it's always that same. "Are you the same guy that wrote the music? Because I can see your video of you playing the piano for concerts, but are you the same person?" So it took a while for people think it was St. Paul Romero. It's like, yeah, I'm the same guy. So little by little, because of that, people would ask, "Oh, since you're going to be coming to," like I remember, Budapest. I was going to do a concert in Budapest, and they said, "Oh, we're Heroes of Might and Magic's fan. Can you can we meet you in the lobby of your hotel?" It's like, "Yeah." "Can we come to your concert?" It's like, "Sure, come to my concert. I'll meet you in the lobby or whatever." So then from that particular concert in Budapest. Can you? We have 40 people who want to meet you. Can we come to your hotel? Like I think.
How
I said
many?
I think there's going to be too many people for the lobby of the
Wow.
hotel. Well, can you come to my friend's apartment? Like, well, I don't know you, but I guess I could. So I agreed to go to somebody's apartment. The next day, he goes, "Well, we have 100 people, so
What?
my apartment's too big. Can you go to this place for old people?" There was like a place for old people activities, and they have they had a little piano. So can you go there? People want to meet you, sign your autograph, and then can you play some of your music from Heroes? So I get there, and there's like 200 people there, and they're all sitting, they're all waiting. I thought I was just gonna sign autographs. I didn't know it was going to be a full concert. So they were all waiting. So I go in and they go, "Okay, just start playing, Mr. Romero." I was like, "Oh my God." So I just started
No pressure.
whatever I could remember of my music. I just started playing. I didn't even stop. Whatever came to my head, I would play. And then it kind of turned into a concert. And then it got on YouTube. And because of that, other people started asking me to come to their countries to play music live. And then that was the very beginning of the idea of this music, which I thought was supposed to be background music. Like, if you have music for a commercial on television, I would have never thought I would be playing that music for concerts. So that was a very strange moment in my life where music that was supposed to be for a game, wasn't supposed to be for a concert, is now people want to hear it live. I walked into that room thinking I was just going to do a meet and greet and take pictures of people, sign, and then maybe play a little bit. I didn't know it was going to be. It's funny because I would play a little bit, and I would play like I think 15 minutes straight. I just didn't stop. I played everything I can remember, and then people started raising their hand. "Mr. Romero, can you play the tune from blah 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 whatever game?" I go, "Can you sing it out loud?" And so people were singing the tune. He goes, "Oh, it's the one that goes." Da, 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 da. Like, oh, okay, so it would jog my memory, then I would start to play it. So then pretty soon it became like people were raising their hand, singing the melody out loud, and then I would try to play it as much as I could remember. So it turned into this type of performance.
Wow.
Yeah, anyway, so from there, that's how I realized, wow, you know what? Maybe this music can be on stage and can be a concert, not just background. So I had to change my brain in terms of how I perceived my music from these games as background music, but maybe one day they're going to be concert music. I can always do concerts on the piano for Heroes fans because I'm about 30 years older than the average Heroes fan. So as long as I'm strong, even if I'm 90 and the Heroes audience is 60, I'll be there. I want to do this. I love to play for a Heroes fan. So I want to take good care of myself because I want to be doing this maybe till I'm 100. So for another 40 years.
A potem fani z Polski zrobili to, co potrafią najlepiej. Zaszaleli i zalali pola miłością. W sali Uniwersytetu Chopina czekała na Romero niespodzianka, którą on sam porównuje do oświadczyn. Tell me, what did you feel when you came to Warsaw and they made a surprise concert for you?
Oh, the first time. This is probably the closest thing I can imagine a proposal, because I was there in Warsaw. It was rainy. I was supposed to go to a film festival to perform. The people were driving me around, showing me this, and I was getting really tired. I was getting jet lagged, and they go, "Oh, would you like to go to the Chopin University?" And I was like, maybe maybe not today, because I just want to sleep. I'm really getting tired. Because they were showing me too many things, and I just got in from
Overload.
LA the day before, and now it was raining, and we're driving around. It's like, okay. They go, oh, well, we promise you'll like the Chopin University. So get there, and yeah, I see all the music students. I'm like, hey, it's nice to be at a music school. You reminded me when I was a teenager in music school. So like, I'm following the guy, and it's like, so we're going to go into a concert hall, and I was thinking, we shouldn't go in there because there's probably a rehearsal going on. So he goes, oh no, it's fine. So yeah, we go in there, and I'm following him, and then all of a sudden this orchestra starts playing. I'm like, oh, we definitely should not be in here because they're rehearsing. As a musician, you're not supposed to be in the room when there was rehearsals. It's kind of disrespectful from growing up as a musician. They are there to rehearse privately. So that I was like nervous. We gotta get out of here. But I'm listening. It's like, wait, this is my music. What on earth is that? So that's so weird. Like I didn't know what was happening. And then there was a camera guy there, and they're looking at me, and like, okay, what? I didn't know what was going on. So I kind of lost my mind for a moment because I was very confused. And then I realized, oh my God, they are playing my music. And I guess this is what I had heard about the Heroes Orchestra, but I didn't know that it was a big orchestra like this. I had no idea. So they just were playing, and they said to sit down. So I'm sitting there, and they're playing all my music, and I was kind of speechless. And it was the feeling of like being proposed to. I kind of didn't know what to say. It's so overwhelming. I couldn't even find the words to, because how did this even happen? Like I was shocked. I was like, it was the most amazing thing. Probably one of the most amazing moments of my whole life. Like it's very mind blowing. So I sat there. They did a 45-minute performance, and I was speechless. I was like, this is the most incredible thing. I couldn't even imagine this ever, especially without my help. Like they learned this music without me giving them any notes, so they figured it out. And it sounded so super beautiful. So then after they finished, I was like kind of in tears, and like that was the most amazing experience. And then he goes, okay, come up on stage. We want you to play with us. It's like, what? I can't play with you. I don't even know what you guys are doing. I don't even know the format of my music or how you're doing. He goes, oh, just play along. I just started playing along, and it was the first time I had played my own music with an orchestra since I was 15. If I could only play with one orchestra for the rest of my life, it would be the Heroes Orchestra, because I played with orchestras obviously my whole life since I was 11. But when I play with normal orchestras, everybody is there to play. Let's say when I was a kid, I would play a Mozart concerto. Everybody in the orchestra were old people, and I was young, and we're playing old music. But when I play Heroes music with the Heroes Orchestra, they're not just an orchestra playing old music. They're playing the music of a game that they love. So, and I love that they love the music. So it's I don't even know of a comparable experience. You're playing with people who this music means a lot. So to be amongst them and to be playing with them is the most. It's like if you could go home for Christmas, right? And you go home and you're with all the people that you love, the people who love you. They make you feel loved. You love them because they love you. So you're just in a room of love. So it's completely different when I go someplace else, or I have to play, let's say, a Rachmaninoff concerto, and that's kind of a job. Everybody's there to do a job. When I play with Heroes Orchestra, everybody's there because we love each other, and we love the game. We love just playing the music together. when I'm in Poland and I'm playing with Heroes Orchestra, so I'm on the stage, so I'm here playing the piano. I look to my conductor, maestro, and I look to all the musicians, and we're all friends and like we're ready. And then I look over here, and then the audience, they're all my friends. So I'm like, wow, I'm at a party. Actually, it's more like a party, and my friends over here who know how to play an instrument, we're ready to play, and everybody here in the party, they're ready to listen. So we just like, okay, here we go, and we just start the party. So it's like there's no nervousness. There's no, oh shoot, I hope everything goes right. It's not even about right. It's let's just get the party started. The last, I think, not this last concert, but I was there last year. I'm on stage, and these concerts are long. They're like 2.5 hours long. So when I was there this past September, for all the concerts that I did, I played 437 songs. So some of these are repeated, but we did 7 nights. I think I did 7 different concerts, but altogether it was a total of 437 tunes from Heroes. So I try to memorize as much. I try to memorize so when I'm playing, just it's natural. I know the music. And sometimes the conductor will go, "Oh, we're gonna add this other song from Heroes 2, Armageddon's Blade or something." Like, yeah, but I go, we didn't practice that. This is on stage. I go, what's next? Because sometimes I don't remember what song. Because we're doing like 50 songs a night. So what song is next? So the violinist behind me, her name was Ruth. So I asked her, what do we do next? She goes, oh, we're doing this one. And then the conductor would go, oh no, we're gonna add this other song. So this is on stage. I go, yeah, but we didn't practice it. Like, oh no, because you played it 2 years ago. We'll be fine. Like, okay, let's just go. So we just started doing it. So it's crazy to actually get on stage, and sometimes we're playing music that I haven't even practiced with them. We're just going to do it. So there's a level of spontaneity and trust and love. It's awesome. So yeah, so that's how it is.
Herosky to bezapelacyjnie gra ponadczasowa. Tak samo jak muzyka do niej mająca już ponad 30 lat. Mimo to nowe utwory wciąż powstają, nie w Los Angeles, tylko m.in. tu, w Polsce, w społeczności moderskiej. Ami jest kompozytorką muzyki do Day of Reckoning i tworzy ją według sprawdzonego przepisu.
To nie zawsze musi brzmieć, jakby to było skomplikowane, ale chodzi o to, żeby pokazać ten właśnie kunszt kompozytora, żeby inny kompozytor mógł na to spojrzeć i stwierdzić, o, to jest wysokiej jakości muzyka. Jeśli chodzi o muzykę do Heroesów, częściowo barok wpływał na to, jak Paul Romero i Rob King komponowali muzykę. Sami oni zresztą o tym mówili, że byli w dużej mierze zainspirowani barokiem, ale najbardziej to słychać chyba w pierwszej części Heroesów. Na przykład motyw barbarzyńcy jest do dzisiaj numerem popisowym Paula Romero na koncertach. Staram się inspirować nie tylko innymi utworami do Heroes of Might and Magic, ale też do gier z serii Might and Magic głównej, jeśli chodzi też o muzykę do wspomnianych już przeze mnie gier takich jak EverQuest czy Creature Quest. Ogólnie studiować muzykę Paula Romero, to jest pierwsza kwestia. Druga kwestia, studiować romantyzm. Barok wpływał mocno na to, jak brzmi muzyka z Heroes 1, ale im dalej idziemy w kolejne części Heroesów, tym bardziej się odczuwa to, że muzyka jest zbliżona do romantyzmu. Romantyzm różnił się od baroku tym, że jak w baroku traktowano kompozytorów jako rzemieślników, tak w romantyzmie chodziło głównie o to, żeby kompozytor mógł przekazać swoje emocje słuchaczom. Przedstawiał jakieś kompozycje, które nie muszą być wyszukane technicznie, skomplikowane do zagrania, ale oddają jakieś emocje, którymi można się utożsamiać, kiedy słuchacz może odsłuchać czegoś i powiedzieć, no to jest coś, jak ja się czuję któregoś tam dnia. Żeby te utwory rezonowały ze słuchaczem, z odbiorcą. I muzyka do Heroesów 2 i 3 coraz bardziej zaczęła przypominać właśnie utwory romantyczne. One nie były skomplikowane, jeśli chodzi o technikę stojącą za graniem tych kompozycji, za aranżowaniem ich. Bardziej skupiały się one na tym, żeby przedstawić jakąś historię, która była głównie nacechowana emocjami. Kiedy słyszysz utwór Inferno, to czujesz emocje, które są związane z utworem Inferno. Są to ciężkie emocje, agresywne, mroczne, ale czujesz, że to jest jakaś opowieść, jakaś przygoda, która za tym stoi. Tak samo jest ze wszystkimi innymi frakcjami Heroes 3, tak samo jest z utworami kampanijnymi, tak samo jest z utworami eksploracji terenu. To zawsze jest opowieść jakiejś historii. Dlatego staram się przy komponowaniu muzyki do Heroesów trzymać właśnie tych ram, jakie przedstawił nam romantyzm. Jest sporo możliwości wzięcia inspiracji od różnych kompozytorów. Trzecia najważniejsza rzecz. Kiedy się komponuje muzykę, to nie należy się bać tego, że jakiś instrument będzie nie pasował do Heroesów 3, że jeżeli w Heroesach 3 używa się tylko jakichś instrumentów, to nie można wyjść poza tę gamę instrumentów. Warto eksperymentować. Dla przykładu w pałacu będą wykorzystane takie instrumenty jak japońskie shakuhachi, tak samo shamisen, inny japoński instrument i do tego wykorzystam też mongolskie śpiewy gardłowe. To wszystko wykracza poza gamę instrumentów znanych nam z Heroes 3, ale dodaje pewien element ciekawej
Świeżości.
alternatywy, świeżości, tak.
To moja generalnie lista pytań, maszyna losująca pytania jest pusta. Czy chciałabyś coś jeszcze dodać na koniec naszego wywiadu?
Przede wszystkim mam nadzieję, że jak będziecie grać w Day of Reckoning, moi drodzy gracze, i będziecie słuchać mojej muzyki, to będziecie mieli tyle samo radości ze słuchania jej, co ile ja miałam z tego, jak ją komponowałam.
Kiedy Ami opublikowała swój pierwszy utwór do fanowskiej kuźni, pod nagraniem pojawił się pierwszy komentarz, podpisany Paul Antony Romero. Krąg się zamknął. Mistrz usłyszał uczennicę, a sam mistrz ma plany na kolejne 40 lat. Nam też pozostaje życzyć naszym idolom 100 lat. Serdecznie dziękujemy Robowi, Paulowi i Ami za to, że zechcieli podzielić się z nami swoimi opowieściami. Jeśli nadal jest Wam za mało, to zapraszamy za tydzień na pełny zapis rozmowy z Paulem Antony Romero, bez muzyki w tle. Tak, by każdy z Was mógł odtworzyć swój ulubiony utwór i posłuchać jeszcze raz legendarnego kompozytora.